Alright, for these two equations here, you'll see I have them written up in the corner. These are two equations that are just simply in slope-intercept form. So they're going to be pretty straightforward when it comes to graphing and when it comes to determining the slope. So again, slope-intercept form is written in the form of y equals mx plus b, where this m value, the coefficient before the x, is our slope, and the b is the y-intercept. So you can just kind of glance at these and figure out what our slope is. In this first one, y equals 3x minus 5, our slope is 3, and in this second one, our slope is negative 2/3. That slope and the y-intercept is what's going to help us graph them on the actual paper, though, or on Desmos, wherever you may want to graph this. So to start with the first one, or to do either of these really, you want to start by graphing and looking at the y-intercept. So in this case, it's negative 5. That's going to mean negative 5 is where the line crosses the y-axis. So you'll see right here we have our line, and here is negative 5 on the y-axis, right there. So I'm just going to type this in as a coordinate, 0, negative 5. And you'll see here, that is a point where this line, 3x minus 5, crosses the y-axis because that's its y-intercept. Now, since its slope is 3, what that means is we have this kind of idea of rise over run with slope. So for every 3 that this rises, it's going to run 1. So every 3 that it goes up in the y direction, it's going to move 1 over in the x. And it's positive, so it's going to be going up. So to do that, I'm just kind of going to count here. I'm going to rise 3, run 1. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, over 1. So you'll see I'll have another point right here. And this point is 1, negative 2. So I'm going to plot that point as well. 1, negative 2. So you'll see that's another point on my line. And if we kind of just want to connect those and draw a line out, that will work for it. We can keep doing that rise over run and just make a lot of points on the graph if we'd like. Like I can do another one, rise 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1. So we're at 2, 1 here. There's another point that's going to be on my line, so on and so forth. You'll notice that if I actually go ahead and graph this line, it should match up perfectly with where I'm at, like so. Because, again, y-intercept, that last number where it crosses the y-axis, and from there you can rise over run, since it's a 3, rise 3, 1, run 1, rise 3, run 1, rise 3, run 1, so on and so forth. The second one, it's a little bit more difficult because we have a fraction, but it's really not too bad as well. So I'm going to go and I'm going to plot a point where its y-intercept is. This one's y-intercept is at positive 1. So I'm going to look right here at positive 1 on my graph, and I'm going to plot a point there. 0, 1. There's my point for the y-intercept. I want to go ahead and look at the slope now, negative 2 over 3. The negative in this case, it means it's going to be going down. So it's not going to be increasing like the other one was, it's going to be decreasing. So when I do rise over run, it's kind of like fall and then run instead of rise, right? We're not going up the y-axis, we're going down it. So since it is a negative 2, I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to run 3, the denominator, 1, 2, 3. So you'll see right here should be my next point. This next point being, what, 3, negative 1? I'm going to plot that. 3, negative 1. And if I want to plot another point, again, I just follow this kind of guideline that the slope is presented. Negative 2 over 3, so I don't rise, but I fall to run 3. 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3 running. And I have 6, negative 3 is my coordinate. 6, negative 3, there we go. And if I graph this line, you'll see that fits right along with it perfectly. That is how we would graph our line. That's what it is. Again, to graph these, pretty straightforward. The plus b, that is your y-intercept. B is your y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis. The m, or the coefficient in front of the x, is your slope. And to graph them, you always just plot a point on the y-axis where your y-intercept is. So, for example, I plotted that negative 5 in this one, or I plotted a point at positive 1 on the y-axis with this. And then we just do rise over run. We treat that slope as a fraction. 3 over 1, rise 3, run 1, or in this case, negative 2 over 3, not necessarily rise, but fall to run 3. Just like that. If you have any other questions, let me know.